Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Victor De Velasco speaking. Well, I just want to apologize for the late video. Well, I mean, jet lag, you know the drill. I got some stuff to do, but here I am with the EUIC report now. So, well, another day two for me, and another day two that didn't go too well, but decided to go back with Lugia again after getting a rather well result in Merida. And despite Miraidon taking a couple tournaments before it, then I still decided to go with Lugia because I didn't think there were going to be that many Miraidons, or at least a lot of Miraidons that actually did well. And also, I kind of thought that by this point, someone was going to start countering Miraidon. So that's why I thought there was not going to be a lot of Miraidons. So that's why I chose to pick up the Lugia deck. Basically, same list. Although I want to say that the only change I made from the Merida list was switching one of the gift energies for another mist energy. So now I'm running 4 mist energies, so that makes it so you have more consistency against Dragapult and apparently against Lost Box, because I ended up facing a Lost Box player at one point, and the fourth the fourth mist actually helped me out there. So yeah, because I realized that a lot of times I wasn't even hitting the gift energies. Like, people wouldn't be getting a knockout on something and make me draw 7 cards, or sometimes when they did, I already had 7 cards. So I noticed how useless the gift energy started to become at a lot of times. So that's why I decided, you know what, let's just drop a gift energy and switch it for the fourth mist, which in the Dragon Ball matchup, it will definitely make a difference because you don't have to struggle discarding it, nor or if it's prized, then you still have like 3 or 2 left. So makes it more consistent to protect yourself against Dragapult. So that was kind of like the logic behind it. So so yeah, I think I already explained the deck a little bit. So if you want to go back to watch the Merida report, you can probably have a better look at it. So I would definitely suggest that. Another thing, I'm noticing my videos are starting to last a little longer. So maybe people wouldn't want me to start talking a lot, especially for some games. So I'm gonna try to do this as quickly as possible. This time I didn't. I decided not to write notes and just use this for most of the review. So I'm gonna try to remember what went through in every single game. So round one, I went up against Carl Munyak. Yep. Okay. Disclaimer here. I know I'm gonna be mentioning a lot of foreign names, so if I mispronounce your name, then I already want to say I apologize. I'm ignorant in some languages. Okay. So so I went up against him, and he was using Miraidon. Like, seriously, round one and a Miraidon player. Now, the funny thing was, I still remember that he actually drained his entire hand and had Iron Hands in the active, and and I already had like a way to get the Lugia Vista. I already have 1 Arceus in the trash, but my only draw card I had in hand was the Iono, and I thought, you gotta play it. Like, it's gonna become a game of top deck. Like, literally, you top deck pass, top deck pass. So it's like, just go with the aggression. So literally, I so I literally gave him 6 cards. I was fortunate to get the Lugia V Star, but then again, I have no way to knock out the Iron Hand. So I just used a Flutter Mane, hit him for 70. Then he benches a second Iron Hands and he loads him up, promotes it, and knocks out my Flutter Mane. So he gets 2 prizes. Then I promote the Lugia. I boss up the damaged. I boss up the damaged Iron Hands, and then I bench a bear. Then I get the knockout. He promotes the Iron Hands, the one with energies, gets a knockout. He's down to 2 prizes, and then I'm like, okay, I have a way to win here. So I ended up using Mesagoza to get a Luminion because I needed the Luminion to get an Iono because he had, like, he replenished his hand. So I needed to make sure that he had no way to get a knockout. I think he had a Raikou in the back, or I don't recall exactly what it was. But then again, he only needed a boss to win. So I was like, okay, so I'm gonna Iono him. I get the knockout. He literally just flips a coin for the Mesagoza. He gets heads, goes for Luminion of his own, and bosses. So literally, I gave him the win. I mean, what would I have done anyway? And well, next game, I don't recall exactly how it went up, but I lost. Okay, round two, it was against Dragapult Dusknoir. It went 2-0. The only play I want to share that I still remember, he was playing the Badoo. and I already had one Arceus in the trash alongside a Chinchino. But I noticed that his hand was very underwhelming. Like he only used Body Puffin, but he didn't do a supporter. He didn't do anything. So he had, I believe, two Ghosts and two Dreepies, and that's it. So and the Badoo. So he gets me an Island Lock on my Squawk that I started. Then I used Lugia V Star and decided, okay, you know what? It's very unlikely he's gonna counterattack right away. So I decided to use the V Star on the Archeops and the Chinchino. I manually attached the Chinchino and I have a Luminion, so I decided to retreat the Squawk, promote the Luminion, and send it back to the deck. But I decided to use the bundle, if I remember correctly, and he promoted a Ghost. So so I get a knockout on one of his Ghosts, return to the deck, and promote what I think it was the Chinchino. I don't recall. But then this is where the master play comes in. My opponent rare candies into Dusknoir, uses the Dusknoir on the Archeops. I take an extra pies. He benches Alakazam, moves that 10 damage he did to the Squawk into the Chinchino. No, sorry, the Archeops. So he's down 14. Then he counter catchers the Archeops and kills it with the Voodoo. So now I'm down. I don't have any Archeops left, and I'm out in luck just on top of it. But fortunately, I still had energies in hand, so I promote the Chinchino, attach, knockout on the Voodoo. Then he rare candies Dragapult, but only has an energy left. One energy, sorry. So he just hits me for 70. So it's like, okay, so I already took 3 prizes. Yeah, 3 prizes. And then I decide to boss the Dreepy, knockout. Then he gets the knockout on the Chinchino, so he's down to 4 prizes. And this entire game was just a game of, you know what? I'm not going to bench any 2 prizers. I'm just going to leave the 1 prizers that I have because I want to make sure that he's down to 2 prizes because he already had 3 Ionos in the trash, so I knew he couldn't, unless he played the 4th, there was no way that he could affect my hand. So I was literally just waiting for him to take 2 prizes so I could just bear, Jet Energy, boss, and get the knockout on his Fezandipiti. And game 2, I don't recall how it went, but, well, ended up winning. Round 3, it was against an Charlatan player. I remember the 2 games that I won. First game, my opponent makes a mistake where he evolves into a Charlatan while I have the Fluttermane in the active. So, enough said. Game 2, I start with Iron Hands. He goes first. He gets a Duraludon in the active, pass. A draw, I don't have anything. I literally have Iron Hands and a bunch of energies, pass. He evolves, hits me to 220, and my only out is boss order and hope he doesn't have an energy, and he does. Okay, game 3, he makes another mistake, not with the Fluttermane, but I remember that he already had a Duraludon with an energy attached. He evolves, but he thought that he had 2 energies in the trash, but he only had 1. So he whiffed an attack there. And from then on, everything went downhill and I got the game. Gardevoir, then it was at round 4. So that was pretty funny. This is from Nicoletta from Italy. I forgot to mention the other guys' names, but you can see them on screen. Sorry. Okay, so Nicoletta, it was funny. Round 1 of, first game. I start with 2 Archeops. I discard them, and I don't get a Lugia, so I pass. She evolves the 2 Kirlias. Then I draw. Use a supporter. I don't draw into a Lugia, nor a Nesball, nor an Ultra Ball, and the Capturing Aromas only get me heads. Pass. Then she gets the Gardevoir, and, well, doesn't do anything. Pass. I draw, and I don't get anything. Like, literally no way to get the Lugia V. By that point, next turn, she uses the Screamtail, and I'm like, okay, good, let's go to next game. Like, there's no way. Game 2, I'm not going to kid you. I literally got the Lugia V-Star until she was down to 1 prize. Like, how did I even win? Like, I think from what I remember, I started with the Fluttermane. She started item locking me, so I couldn't get anything out of the deck, nor use the Ultra Ball to get rid of the Archeops. So I was just like, okay, hit you 70 and 10 and 10 on the bench. She would then eventually start pressuring me on the bench, etc. But I would still get knockouts with Fluttermane. Eventually, there was a point where I had the Lugia V-Star. Well, I had to have a couple of Lugia Vs because I now couldn't get the Lugia V-Star. So Eventually, she gets the knockout on one of the Lugia Vs, and she's down to one prize. And I finally get the Lugia V Star, and that it was just okay. I have the Ogre Pun, Water Ogre Pun, so I just get a knockout on two guys, and that's it. And then on game three, I'm on the lead, and apparently. I was down to one prize, and I already had bundle in the bench, so it was like, okay, you need to hit me with Guardy, but if I use the bundle, you'll have to promote something in the bench, and it is a one pricer. I win. So she ended up playing a second Guardy, so that takes away my win condition. So what happened next was, um, eventually she did not realize that I only had one prize left. So eventually she promoted the Screamtail, got a knockout on the bench, and then I just declared an attack and I won. And well, sorry about that. Round 5, it was against Santiago from Spain. He was playing Surluch and Palkia. Now, up to this point, I gotta mention, the first 4 rounds, the deck was definitely not on my side. Like, it was literally breaking, breaking, breaking. And the games I won, it was just because my opponents either bricked harder or I barely got the knockouts. But this is the first game where I finally started to see some response from the deck, especially this is in a difficult match because you can always use the Regigigas to get a knockout on Surlich. So I mean, not much to say, but it was a good game there. Round 6, it was against another Archaludon. Now that one was a bit trickier because Evan, yeah, I lost the game against him. So yeah, so one of the things I started doing a lot was uh, attaching 2 DTEs to the Lugia. So that way, even if he plays the Relicanth, he can't one shot the Lugia V Star back with the damage counter attack thingy. He doesn't get a knockout on the Lugia. But most of the game it was just boss, 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 boss. Like you, so there was a game where I didn't even touch the Archaludon. So that's usually how you beat Archaludon, and also trying not to bench anything like Luminions or Feza or anything like that because that could be an easy path to victory for him. Now, round 7, I went against Fabricio from Peru. He was playing Lost Box. I already know Fabricio from a while back. We faced each other back in LAIC 2023. Well, yeah, and in Orlando in 2023, and he always got the best of me. But this time around, I was able to get my revenge. So, but definitely it was down to the wire. Like there was one game where he was, I believe he was trying to do the save light play where he would damage 2 Lugias, then damage an additional Lugia just so he could guarantee a knockout next turn. So I ended up attaching Mist Energy. Then he would go against the one of the Archeops, and then I attach another Mist Energy. I think I did attach all 4 Mist Energies to the point that there was no way he could get a one-hit KO on something or get the game there without boss's orders or something. He already used the Prime Catcher, so it was down to the wire. But he conceded, and game 2 was much of the same. But at the end, I was able to take the final prizes, and I won. Then round 8, I'm like, okay, one more win, and I'm locked in for day 2. And the first thing bumps into me, another Miraidon. And game 1, I remember I lost really quickly. Game 2, it was funny. We both started with Iron Bundle. I went first. I benched a Lugia V and a Squawk. I believe it was Squawk. Yeah, it was a Squawk. So I ended up getting a lot of cards, getting the Archeops and pass. Then my opponent, okay, gets Miraidon, gets Raikou. I kid you not. He used all 4 of his generators and he only got 2 energies total. But his turn lasted so long. Like, literally, draw 3 with Mew. Draw with Raikou. Well, no, Raikou was at the very end. But I remember there was a point where he got the Forest Seal Stone, used it to get the secret box, used the secret box, got a boss's orders, and I was like, I completely forgot that he had not played a supporter, but he barely got 2 energies, and he just bosses the Lugia, gets the knockout, and I'm like, well, I mean, no more Lugia V-Star, I guess. So I ended up promoting the the Squawk because I already had Bear in hand, so I needed to make sure that I was down to 2 prizes. So I just draw, pass, or I don't recall what he did. He gets a knockout. He's down to 2 prizes. I only had the bundle. So in this scenario, I bench the Ursaluna, then I Iono, and I am fortunate enough to get the Jet Energy. So I Jet Energy and get the knockout. Now, I did think about the fact of using the bundle because he had a Magnemite on the bench and he already had the Iron Hands ready. So with the bundle of his, he's guaranteed to promote my bundle, and then he gets a knockout with Iron Hands if he gets the Magneton, because he didn't have any more Forest Seal Stone nor Generator. So I knew that his only out was the Magneton. However, lucky me, what happens? I decided not to use the bundle because if I would have used the bundle, he probably would have promoted a single pricer or the Pikachu. So that's a wasted turn. And also, I needed the bundle because I would have needed to use a second Jet Energy, which I did have, and then attach it to the bundle, retreat, and then attack again. That was my plan. But I mean, I Iono him to 2, and he literally top decks the Magneton. So the Iron Hands already had an energy attached, so he literally plays Magneton, attaches 3 energies. He's already 4. Bundle, promotes my bundle, retreats, and gets a knockout. I was like, seriously? You got the Magneton out of 2 cards? Well, whatever. Okay. Well, so round 9, I went against David from Denmark, if I'm not mistaken. He was playing Dragapult Charizard. I knew that if I get the tie, I would be on day 2, but without any chance of winning the whole thing. But I mean, a day 2 would still be good, especially in an international. So game 1, I remember I beat him game 1, but in game 2, it was funny because it lasted so long, and I only used 1 Archeops through the entire game. But there was a point where literally my only Pokemon were Regigigas and Fluttermane. And he used the cape. So it took me 2 hits to get a KO on the Dragapult. I was down to 1 prize. And I even attached the Legacy Energy on the Regigigas. So what he did was he Iono'd me. He got a knockout on the Regigigas. But then I was like, okay, I only need boss to win because he had a benched Dreepy and a benched Charmander. And what did he do? He evolved he also had a Luminion and attached that Forest Seal Stone before the Iono because his plan was like next turn I'm gonna boss and I'm gonna win if he dares to bench something else. But the problem was, even though he was down to 2 prizes and I only had the Fluttermane, I thought, okay, but he does. If I can get a boss, I win. But then he realizes his mistake, and he uses the Force Seal Stone just to get a rare candy to evolve the Charmander into Charizard. And I'm like, I no longer have any targets, so I ended up just bossing a Dracloak. My logic behind it was you can't use the ability, so that means that you're gonna draw and you're gonna use the bench Dracloak, and the chances of you getting an energy are smaller than using a couple Dracloaks. So he ends up getting the board, the rescue board, retreats and get his knockout, and he ties it up. And then time is called, and we ended up in a tie. Round 10 by next day, I go up against Victor Ong. So he was playing the new Goldengo build, the one that I believe Sander Pero used in in top 8. So with him, it was kind of funny because he started that game. He started off with the evolution disc, so I had no way to knock out the Goldengos. But at the end of the day, he got the upper hand and won. Game 2, he starts a bit slower, and I'm able to overwhelm him with Lugia and I believe the Water Mask, whatever. And then he concedes. Game 3, it's like, oh my god. So my only starters are the Fluttermane, a Minchino, and a Lugia V, and I pass because he went first. So turn 2, he gets the Goldengo, and he uses the bundle, and I'm like, wait, if I promote the Lugia, he gets a KO. I don't have any Lugia V-Star. If I promote the Minchino, I'm literally down to not being able to one-shot a Goldengo. So I promote the Minchino, he gets the knockout, and now I know I have no way to one-hit KO the Goldengo. So I promote the Fluttermane thinking, okay, I have to weaken him first with the Fluttermane, and then next turn I get a knockout with Lugia. Well, I hit him with Fluttermane, and then despite him using Pokestop and discarding a boss, he gets a second boss and gets the knockout on Lugia, and I'm like, I have no way to knock out the Goldengos anymore. So my next plan was okay. So I think I was down to okay. I had the Flutter main, so he's down to 3 prizes. So I remember I promote a bear. I attach extra energies to get a knockout, so that way I would be down to 2 prizes. Well, I would be down to 4. Sorry, and then he would then get the knockout on the bear. He would be down to 1 prize only, and at that point, I got the water mask, and I was just gonna sub block him. I knew he played a Turo. I wasn't by then. I didn't know that this list plays 2, but I knew he played a Turo, and I was so pissed because the first thing he did was Pokestop, and he did not discard the Turo, and I was like, oh my god, like. And eventually he got the Turo and he got out of the lock and won. Then I go up against Lucas, and I got a tie. And this is the one game that discouraged me a lot. Like it's against Snorlax, pure Snorlax, no Temple of Sinnoh, no Giacomo, so nothing to counter me. Game 1 goes the way I wanted. I have the perfect board, Lugia V-Star, 2 Archeops, Chinchino, Fluttermane, and the Water Mask. So what I do is just promote the Water Mask, attach Jet, whatever, and the Legacy, return everything to the deck, including the Jet. You hit 100 and 120 and don't get a knockout. So that way he can't use Countercatcher, at least at the beginning. And also, it makes it harder for him to penny around everything because you always leave that damaged Snorlax. So once I get that board, there's no way to win. Game 2, I prize the Legacy. And rather than conceding immediately, I decide to get the Chinchino out, still bench the Water Mask just because I don't want him to fill up my bench, and used my Jet energies to start taking prizes. By the time I took 4 prizes and I was only down to 1 Jet energy, I didn't draw the Legacy. So that's when I conceded. Game 3, I was able to get the perfect board, or well, not perfect board, the board I needed to win the game. But the problem was there was like 3 minutes down on the clock, and obviously my opponent is gonna keep playing. He's gonna still do plays, etc. And it's not like I'm gonna beat him quickly. So eventually that ended up in a tie. So the fact that I prized the Legacy on the second game is what got him a tie, and there was nothing I could have done there. Round 12, I went up against Tianki. Well, I suppose that's how you pronounce it. He was playing Dragapult Dusknoir. Game 1, he bricks and I overwhelm him. Game 2, um, I don't recall how he beat me, but well, he did. Game 3, I remember I started playing well. He only got 1 prize, but then he does that play where he Ionos, Temple of Sinnoh, gets a knockout on my Water Mask, my Lugia, and the Archeops. So he's down to 1 prize. Yeah, I think that's how it went. And then I'm promoting a Fezandipity, and then I use boss's orders on the Alakazam because that way he probably will have a harder time retreating. And then I get a knock, and then I decide to pass because since time was called, I thought that I had no way to winning. But eventually he got the switch and got the game, so there was nothing I could have done there. And last but not least, I went against Corey in round 13 against Mirror Match. Not much to say here. He went first game 1 and he whiffed the Lugia V-Star in game 2. I did not. So I got an early lead. I got the Iron Hands, got a knockout. And then I bossed the Luminion he had. So that way, now that I'm down to 1 prize, it's basically game by then. And game 2, he completely breaks. Like he starts with a Lugia, attaches, passes. I get a play. I start with Iron Hands again, and then I pass. And then when he draws the card, he's like, well, he's hesitating a while, and I'm like, he doesn't have it, does he? And he immediately reads the win, and I'm like, no way. So that way, I just completed my play and got the dunk there, and I won. Well, didn't make a difference in that last game because eventually I was gonna be down to top 512 anyway, so no difference there. So that was basically it. Like a really good tournament. I don't regret playing Lugia anymore. But then again, now that we saw that Goldengo is starting to make a comeback, some control players were starting to make a comeback, and the fact that cloth Terrapagos was the one that won the whole thing that caught my attention, especially because I was planning to go back to Goldengo a little bit, but once I saw how Terrapagos deals with Goldengo, I think I'm starting to get cold feet on that. So who knows? Now, what's next for me? Well, um, one good thing about it is the points have not been uploaded yet, but it's very likely that I'm going to be earning a travel award for NAIC, which is the main goal I had this small season. Ever since I got the top 4 at Sacramento, that has been my goal, getting that travel award, and fortunately I did, or I think I did. Just waiting for the points to get uploaded, but it's very likely I will. So at least mission accomplished there. Now, what's next for me? Well, I think I'm gonna take a break for a moment, but I'm gonna start looking into Journey Together because I know there's gonna be a lot of people asking for help regarding the new format, especially because at least here in Mexico we have Monterrey Regionals, and Journey Together is gonna be legal for that. And some people are asking me what to play in Monterrey, so need to make sure that I already know the format beforehand. We know that we have the Japanese Champions League, and that's probably a hint of what's coming up, but I still need to practice and verify if there's another deck that we haven't looked into, or if there's a deck that was not in the top 16 that still needs to take a look at. So, yeah, so right now my plan is focus on Journey Together, start helping people, and so far the next tournament I'm going to be in is in Monterrey Regionals, and then obviously NAIC. So, yep, so that's about it. So, thank you guys for watching, and hope you I catch you next time.